As many of you know, I've been very busy with my Baltimore Positive movement. We'll be at Fadley's with Mayor Jack Young on the 20th. Hope you come down to Lexington Market for that. And a little out of touch with the baseball thing as the Orioles lose a lot, give up a lot of home runs, and play quad A baseball. But a trip to Houston this weekend will bring everybody sort of back up to speed if you tune in to see what Wade Miley's up to. This guy will be doing the pregame and the postgame for the Astros deep in the heart of Texas. He's also the Houston Rockets' longtime radio play-by-play voice. You can follow him out on Twitter at SportsMT, and his private jet there. Is that the hobby or is that George Bush there, Matt Thomas?
That would be hobby, and I wish it was my plane. It's a Rockets plane, but, I can call it mine for the sake of this.
So if I call you Rocket Man, we won't confuse you with any North Korean leader or anything like that, right? You're good with that.
Well, it's funny. I'm going to see the movie tonight. Have you seen it yet?
I have not. I've heard good things, and, I sort of like me a rock doc once in a while, whether it's a Def Leppard or, whether it's a Freddie Mercury, a Ray Charles. I like all that sort of stuff,
Yeah, I'm very excited. I heard it's more musical than movie, so that's fine. It is what it is. I'm a big Elton John fan, so it's all good. What's going on in the BWI?
Well, no Crocodile Rock here, and Saturday night's not all right for fighting because our baseball team stinks. Yours is pretty good. And all we hear around here, and I know Ben Lindbergh's putting a book out next week, and I'm having him on from The Ringer as well, the Astro Way and what they've done, that's going to be here. Well, part of the Astro Way was watching a lot of really lousy baseball, and I know you're familiar with that as well. But now, you squeeze the fruit out of a vibrant downtown, a vibrant franchise, maybe the best franchise in the marketplace, and certainly fun. It's fun when your baseball team wins because there's 162 of them, right?
Well, I'll first say, and again, I don't know the infrastructure, what the O's are doing, or frankly, much about their 25 because the Astros are 10 games in front of the American League West, and I'm not really concerned about anybody that's not. But I'm a big Mike Elias fan. I think he's terrific. I've had a chance to get to know him a little bit over the years, and I even think you even called me maybe when the hire was made. So, again, I don't know what massive changes he's making or has done or is going to do, but you really went with a really good guy. I think Mike's a very personal guy, but understands that baseball, Nestor has gone 100, as the kids would say, towards sabermetrics. And so I clearly can tell you that Mike's time as an Astro employee was heavy into that, and so that would be probably the goal of the Orioles. So, yeah, it sucks. 3 straight 100-loss seasons. Having 9,000 people at Astros Minute Maid Park games is depressing as hell. Doing about 100 post games a year at the time when they were terrible was,
you had some Bo Porter post games, is what you're telling me back in the day.
Yeah,
yes?
I was thinking about sending a resume to WNST.com, but it all worked out. I'm now doing about 50 of them because of my Rockets commitments, and I'm watching a team that's going to probably win the American League West by at least 15 games.
And it's sort of fun for everybody. Like, I've had McClain on this week, and he covers football, but loves the baseball team. And even if you're there, you get a little Astros fever. I mean, certainly not everyone that was ever an Orioles fan really even understood baseball around here. They might have understood, beer drinking and crabs, but they understood orange and black. And it feels like there's a little bit of that going on in this renaissance for the Astros, that this may be something that holds there for a decade or two and keeps people. And I think, look, you've been into Kansas City and seen what's going on there, what's happening. It's fleeting. When it all goes away and you make a couple of wrong moves on some Dallas Keuchels and, the Verlanders move on and, you don't make those decisions, what happens in the aftermath really affects your city, man. It empties out your community when your team stinks.
Well, the great thing about baseball is if you tear it down and you have smart people, it can stay for a while because, frankly, by the rules of the sport, Nestor, any guy that you draft is yours for 6 guys in theory, in terms of service time. So it doesn't allow guys to suck for 2 or 3 years in the NBA, and then that 1 or 2 years he really breaks out, and then he goes and tests free agency. NFL deals, rookie contracts, you have the big dilemma whether you keep a guy for a 4th or 5th year. That service time clock does not start until the moment a particular organization feels that player is ready to play and compete at the major league level. So look how the Astros were homegrown. Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, George Springer, Jose Altuve. The Verlander trade was amazing. This very savvy trade of the Garrett Cole from Pittsburgh. But sometimes you got to catch lightning in a bottle. Charlie Morton was spectacular for this baseball team before he moved on to Tampa Bay. Robinson Chirinos, who has never been known as much of a catcher and a kind of a spotty hitter, has been fantastic. Brad Peacock was just a journeyman in the A's organization. You gotta mix it up with very good drafts, spending money when proper, and then a little bit of luck. I mean, look at Michael Brantley a couple of years ago with the Indians. Nestor couldn't stay healthy. Now he is as important to this baseball team in the heart of the order playing left field, 6 days a week. And he gets mad on the seventh day that he's got to play DH. So it's all working right now for the Astros, and thank God I get to enjoy it because, as I said moments ago with you, to have to talk about 320 losses over a 3-year span was clinically depressing.
Well, I'm at about 165 right now, 170, and, I'm trying to save the city at this point. And certainly the savior here comes when you get the little white ping pong ball because you lost 115 games, and you get to pick the best kid. They took a catcher, from Oregon State, Adley Rutschman, that everybody agrees on. I remember a right-handed pitcher out of Stanford not so long ago that everybody agreed on was number one. And, it doesn't always work out to be Carlos Correa. And the Correa thing was probably a lot more dramatic and controversial at the time than maybe the Appel thing was. But you went through 3 of these drafts. We're now at 1 trying to stockpile. And, boy, I look up and see Garrett Cole is the 1, 11. You got him on your team now, right? You had your shot. You wanted Harper. You could have paid for him. So these guys hit the market as well later on. But, the Adley Rutschman thing, now we circle him and say, when's he getting here? Because that's all you got when you're drafting Carlos Correa and you're drafting Appel and you're losing 120 games. It's Correa becomes a name that everybody knows, kind of like they know Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah, you can't screw the first-round pickup. That's and here's the crazy part, Esther, is that the Astros did screw it up one time. Well, Mark Appel turned that was mistake 1. They had a young man by the name of Brady Aiken, who they didn't even sign. And guess what? He went away. And then guess what? The Astros got a compensatory pick for that. That compensatory pick was Alex Bregman. So sometimes when you goof, you still work it out. I think it's a combination of a variety of things. But I can just tell you, if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, mentally prepare yourself for these 100-loss seasons. But it's coming out Mike Elias to make sure in his scouting department that these 100-loss seasons have a payout. And that's drafting top 10 each and every year and getting these guys to the major leagues as soon as possible. There are teams that still, I have a friend of mine whose son plays for the Boston Red Sox organization, was a former first-round pick. He's stuck in Double-A at 24. So it's not just getting first-round picks, it's picking the right ones. And so I wish the Orioles well, because we're all sick and tired of Americans and watching the Yankees and Red Sox every day on Sunday Night Baseball. So a little Orioles infusion wouldn't be the worst in the world, but it's going to take a lot of time, and you'd have to answer this better than I would. Is Baltimore prepared for all the years of utility and then another round of utility until this team can actually stockpile? Because right now, let's be brutally honest, it's not a free agent destination. And until it does become that, you have to build exclusively through the draft.
Well, Matt, the other part of this is we have a lease that's up in 2 years and a struggling city and a struggling economy within our city in a lot of ways. And, I'm really shedding a light on that instead of sitting around here and talking about losing baseball games every day, because I'm more worried about what happens with the franchise when the lease is up in 2 years, and you're in a city where you lost a football team. We've lost a basketball team and a football team here. And you talk about 9,000. 9,000 is a big crowd around here lately because it's gone off the cliff very, very quickly. And, so we have that palpable concern. But, the other part for you down there with that franchise and everything that's been built around that is that what it does represent for the community in downtown. I mean, you see what a baseball team can do 80 nights or really over 100 nights if you count weekends and playoff games and, spring training and getting on the bandwagon and, what it means after the game. It's such an exponential thing for a city. It really is. You know?
It was the differences in Houston, and I can't answer this for Baltimore. You'd have to do it more than I can. Economically, we can support lots of major league teams. I would not be surprised in the next 10 years NHL comes to Houston. We are as recession-proof a city as you'll find in America, especially because of the oil and gas. My question is, if the Orioles get to 90 wins and are at least competing in the AL East and wild card and division series, will Camden Yards have 40,000 people in it? Can the city? And so that's why I don't think it's fair for me to comment on that, because I know my city, I know my economy, you know yours better. So that's the bigger question, is that are people not coming to those games because the team is sitting here losing about 115 games a year, give or take, or is it because the metropolitan area where you guys live, Mid-Atlantic, cannot support two Major League Baseball teams?
Well, we're going to find out, and I think that's the part that we get real nervous about, and that we sort of buckle up in the way your town buckled up to go fight with L.A. to get the team first, right? Literally. And LA's
Let me tell you something. Portland wants you. If Baltimore doesn't want it, Portland does. I go to the NBA to Portland 2 to 3 times a year, and every time I get up there, all they talk about is Major League Baseball. I'm not sure that Portland can handle it from a metropolitan population-wise, but if there's corporate backers, that always, I just can't imagine Major League Baseball not being in Baltimore. And again, I would have said the same thing 20 years ago, and I said, I can't imagine the city of Houston not having football, but it can happen. But I just know that the two places that always talk about big game and whether they can do it or not is Portland and Las Vegas. And Las Vegas has turned out to be a windfall for sports. I think the Raiders will be very successful. We already know the Golden Knights are. I'm just not sure about Portland. It's one thing to fill up a 17,000-seat arena, but to put a 40,000-seat stadium up there in that part of the country with a small metro population, again, I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, but I just don't know, frankly, how long can the Baltimore fan wait in order to get good? And you wouldn't expect anybody that's following an Oriole team that's not good to go spend money just to keep the team there. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, if the leases are becoming a part of the time equation, I don't know what to do in your spot, because I don't think it feels like the Orioles are 2 years away from being a division contender.
No doubt about that. Matt, I know your time's short. We'll get together, we'll gather, do some Rockets, do some other stuff. Always appreciate the time. Tell Wade Miley not to beat us up too much on Sunday, okay?
Wade Miley will get the game done in about 2 hours. I can tell you that for sure. Fastest pitcher in baseball right there. You'll love it.
Well, yeah, we had him for a little while, and look at him now. First place, it's all gaudy. Have fun down there. Send me a Starburst, a throwback, a little J.R. Richard or something. Appreciate you, Matt.
You got it. Take care now.
Matt Thomas, Sports MT. He is out on the Twitter thing. You can follow him. Boy, what doesn't he do? He's at Sports Talk 790. Does a show 3 hours a day. He is the voice of the Houston Rockets. He does PA, Astros, pre and post, Cougar football pregame, and in between that, probably eats really good food because he's in Houston, and they got great places to eat. Nasty at WNST.net, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.